Hey guys, and welcome back to another one of my episodes. Now, this is going to be a little different. I'm not reviewing video games on this one. In fact, I'm going to review the company Motorola and talk to you about some of my personal experiences. Unfortunately, in this case, they were somewhat bad for the most part. There's still some good aspects to it, and I'll give them their praises for those things. But for the most part, Motorola as a company and as a whole, from my experience, has just been absolutely terrible. And I'll touch on Sprint as well, and I'll start from the beginning. What happened is about 3 months ago I bought, or not actually 3 months ago, about 8 months ago I bought a cell phone, and I got it from Sprint as one of those 2-year plans, just like a lot of people do. So you get the phone for free, and then you have to pay for 2 years, and their lock contract and everything else. And everybody hates those contracts, as do I. But it's usually the best way to go. You know, the phone's on upwards to $200 to $500, or even sometimes more. So you're basically getting, a $200 phone or more for free, and then you just have to pay forever and deal with all the hassle of being locked into that contract. So I had the phone for about 3 months, and then it died on me. Just one day I turned it off, and it wouldn't turn back on ever, and it would heat up dramatically. I mean, it was like a small nuclear reactor in my hand. It was so hot that I could literally not touch it. So I put it out by my window when it was a nice cool day. It was like 20 degrees that day, and it cooled it down. It was nice. It definitely helped prevent a fire, because I don't think there was anything I could put that on other than maybe an oven plate or something that would not have burst into flames. That is, I'm not exaggerating, that is how hot that thing was getting. So the next day I took it into Sprint and told them everything that happened. I told them how hot it got and that I had to put it out, next to the window to cool down and everything like that. And they already knew. They already knew what the problem was. It was a manufacturing error, that it's happened quite a bit. The phone turns off, and then when you try to turn it back on, it does this weird thing where it tries to reboot over and over and over and over again, never turning on the screen or anything like that. And that's why it heats up. And eventually it heats up so much that it just fries everything inside. So this is something they knew about, something that they've been having problems with that exact phone. So that sucked, that was pretty bad. But I was like, okay, it's still under warranty. It's only been 3 months. There's still a year warranty. And Sprint already knew what the issue was. So they were like, we'll take it in the back and look at it. And of course, it was the problem that they thought it was. And then they basically told me that there was nothing they could do for me. And I was surprised. I was like, what do you mean? It's still under warranty. I have a little paper. And they're like, no, it's under warranty with Motorola. You're going to have to contact them directly. And I was pretty taken aback by this, because I don't know any other store that I really go to that doesn't handle it for you. Like if I go to Amazon and I buy something from a third party, or even just from Amazon, if something's wrong with it, I return it to Amazon, and Amazon deals with that part of it. They talk to the company, they work it out, and if they can't work it out, they pay me the money that I should be, that they guaranteed that I would get back, and take it as a loss, and then just never deal with that company again, which pretty much puts them out of business. So they usually pay Amazon one way or another. If you go to Sears and you buy a pair of blue jeans, you don't have to go back and say, hey, these blue jeans are ripped, I'd like to get another pair, or I'd like to get my money back. And they don't tell you, hey, no, you actually have to call Levi's and get your money back from them. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's what I paid the middleman for, is to deal with these small issues. You're the middleman, Sprint. You're not the big guy. You're not the guy who made the phone. I didn't buy the phone from you. Didn't make the phone that I bought. I bought it from Motorola, but I did buy it from you. So your job is not only to provide service, which I'm paying for, but you're to provide service on the actual phone, which you got a piece of, I have no doubt about. And I apologize if I'm getting a little loud here, but it was very aggravating to sit there and talk to these people and find out that, no, we're not going to help you. And in fact, with Sprint, I've never had a good experience going in. Every time I've had something wrong with my phone, whether it's to be activated because there's an issue with them on their side or something along the lines, their answer is always, I'm sorry, we can't help you, go call customer service. And it just boggles my mind that they have stores that you can go into and talk to an actual person, and their answer is, go call on the phone. Like that would be a better thing, because if I'm calling on the phone, I have to do everything myself. I have to sit there and follow the directions and do everything. Whereas if they knew what to do, they could do it in a quarter of that time, fixing it in the back and I wouldn't even mind paying 10 or 15 bucks to get that done. But no, they just don't do that kind of thing in the store. Most of the time when you go in to buy a contract, they don't allow you to get the phone in the store either. No, they're going to have to send it to you. Nothing, as far as I can tell, is done in that store except them standing around looking at each other. So, no, not happy with Sprint either. But okay, I got the number from Motorola. Went ahead and gave them a call that same day. And I talked to, unfortunately, an Indian guy. You can tell the accent, and he spoke very, very, very poor English. But I can't blame him, I can't fault him. I don't speak another language, so the fact that he can even speak two is already, better than what I can do. So I'm not faulting him for that, but it is very aggravating. Like if you have a problem with something and then you call somebody and you can't understand what they're saying, like it's not their fault, but the Motorola knew that. Motorola knows that there are certain accents to Americans that are very hard for us to understand. It's just unfortunately the way it is. And so when they outsourced, which is something almost every company nowadays does, they knew that you were going to be adding, especially for a health department like this with problems, you're going to be adding even more stress and resentment and even anger for that phone call. I mean, the last thing you want to have to sit there and deal with when you're trying to figure out how to deal with the problem you already have is another problem of not being able to understand who you're talking to. So that was an issue right there. The biggest issue I had with that is not just that I could hardly understand him, but it seemed that where they were working was very disorganized or poor, I would say. The company did not spend a lot of money on setting this call center up because they had one computer. That's it. For the entire place. One computer. And I could hear the other people next to him talking. It's not like they were in a little cubicle and it was all cut off and it was nice and comfy in there for these guys. Clearly they were shoulder to shoulder, squeezed in as much as possible. I could hear the other two guys next door, and I could hear information from those other two guys about the people they were talking to. I'm sure they could hear information about me as well. So very unsecure. If you're giving them any personal data and other people are on the phone, they might be able to get that as well and then take advantage of that situation, unfortunately. The biggest problem, though, was their computer was down. It wasn't working. And I'm like, okay, so are you going to fix it? I mean, do I need to, wait on hold for another 20 minutes? What's the story here, right? And they weren't going to fix it. He didn't know how. He didn't know when they were going to have another technician come in. His advice was to call back tomorrow. And I had called on a Friday. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, what time do you guys open tomorrow? And I'm trying not to be mean, because I don't want to take it out on them. They're just a person working in a crap job, trying to make a living. It's not their fault that these policies are in effect. And he was actually pretty nice. That's the way they get you, kind of, on these things, is that the customer service bends over backwards to be nice, not to help you out, because they don't help you out, but to be nice about it. It's kind of like, I can tell you all sorts of nasty things to your face. As long as I have a smile on my face, it's all okay. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not okay just because you're being nice about it. And the other really, really irritating thing is they keep asking you if they're doing a good job, or am I doing a good job? Well, yes, you're doing a fine job of asking me questions. Are you actually fixing anything? Well, no, you're not. So how do I answer that? You're not doing a good job? No, well, you are. You're answering the questions that your company is paying you to ask. Now, your company has designed those questions in order to not help people out at all, or at least make it very, very difficult to do so. So no, I would have to say a thumbs up and a thumbs down at the same time. Overall experience, big thumbs down. So that's fine. I was like, okay, if I don't have a choice, the computer's down. You guys obviously have one computer there that you're talking about, and it just doesn't work, and it's not going to work, and everybody's apologizing. And so fine, I was like, okay, I'll call back tomorrow at the time they gave me, and I believe it was 8 in the morning they said it opened up. So I called back around 9. I didn't want to, call right at the beginning, give them a little time to fix that computer. Obviously, I doubt they were going to come in late to do that. So I called. Of course, they're not open on Saturday or Sunday. Well, what's going on there? I literally asked the guy, what time do you guys open tomorrow? No, they're idiots, or unfortunately mistaken. So yeah, I have to go 2 days without my phone again, which is not a big deal except for emergency phone calls. I mean, I don't really use the phone for all that much GPS. and to keep in touch with my family and friends. It's not like I'm attached to the hip. I don't sit there and do things for work on it all the time. So 2 days, not a big deal. I'm like, okay, I can do 2 days. Plus, I'll have to send it in and all this other junk. So it's going to be a while, right? I settled in for the long haul on this one, right, basically. And so Monday comes around, and I call, and they answer. And so I'm like, okay, so what's the deal with all this? And they're like, well, we don't have you on record. And I'm like, yeah, that's because your computer wasn't working last time. But the guy said he'd take it down on his paper, and then he'd fill it in later when the computer was working. Didn't do it. So I had to go through the whole long process of telling them everything that happened with the phone, and basically telling them who I was and setting up an email account and all this junk that they have to get you to sign up for. A lot of questions that don't have anything to do with your problem, that they're probably just collecting information to sell to other companies, just like every other company out there. So that kind of sucked too, to have to keep doing that over and over again. But fine, the computer is working finally this time, and they were able to see what phone I had, and they were able to see that I still had a warranty on it. And then it took them, for the conversation to start to finish, it was about an hour and a half that I was sitting there on the hold talking to this guy, whether it was him trying to wait for the computer to clear, because it was a very slow computer with, however many people are in that room using it, because they're all using the same one, so the processing power is split between all of them. And I wouldn't doubt it if there was a couple hundred and they're all squished together like sardines, in the heat and being treated like, garbage by the people who were calling, who were just very, very angry about the entire situation, So I didn't want to be one of those guys. I was trying to be nice, and in fact, I didn't raise my voice at all or get angry with them, because I understood the situation they were in. I was getting aggravated with the entire situation, though. But like I said, I try not to take it out on the poor sucker who's doing that job. I've been in situations like that at retails, and I know exactly how horrible that can be. So finally, they agree. Yeah, it's something that happens. We know that it's covered. So what we're gonna have to do is transfer you to another department that deals with that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is the department that I was already transferred to for this. I mean, I literally called another department before I even called you guys. And they take you through that whole stupid computer thing. Or if you're having problems with your computer, or you're having problems with your cell phone, press 2, and you go through all that crap. And finally, you get to the point where they send you to the right department, you think. But no. This is just the preliminary rounds to make sure that you're not, some whack job or something, apparently. Which you think the guy before on the other day could have done without a computer, but apparently not. So they transfer me over to another department, and you can see just how poorly run this operation is, because instead of transferring you to that department with all your information, they just transfer your call. It's a cold call. The guy gets on the phone. He's like, okay, so my name is this, and how can I help you today? Seriously? How can you help me? I just went through an hour and a half of explaining to the other guy, and now I have to do the exact same thing all over again. I got to tell you my name, my email address, all this stuff all over again, so you can enter it into the computer and have it at your fingertips and not use it. You're not going to transfer it over to the other guy. I don't know where it gets saved, but it's not being saved so that the people there can look at it when they need to, like you would imagine that it would be. So very disappointed on that. And finally, talking to that guy, he's like, okay, yeah, I see everything here is all set up, and yeah, you are, under warranty, and you should get a new phone for it. So what we're going to go ahead and do is transfer you over to another department that deals with this. And I'm like, I just did that. They just transferred me over to you so that you could deal with it. And he's like, yeah, but it's more of a specific thing, right? They kept going from one department that dealt with electronics, and then he was like, okay, so this is electronics. Now you got to go to cell phones. I'm like, I did that with the computer thing. I should have already been there. But he's like, no, this is how it works. So basically, that whole thing is crap. You can pretty much go to any department you want. They're going to transfer you. You're going to be sitting there on the phone forever dealing with this. So finally, I get to, I think, the fourth and final department. I skipped over 3 because it was pretty much the exact same thing as the first 2. And it had already been 2.5 hours to 3 hours sitting there waiting for these people to do what they need to do. And finally, they completely agreed. Every single one of them completely agreed that it was under warranty, and they were going to send me a new one. So they were like, okay, well, what you want to do is you have 2 options. You can either, one, give us your credit card information, and we'll bill you for a new phone, and you'll send in your old one. And when we get your old one in, we'll remove the charge. You won't have to pay for it, but it's a safety thing. Just in case you don't send us the old one, you're going to get charged for the new one. And I was like, okay, what's the second option? The second option was that they would allow me to send in the old phone, They send me an email with the FedEx postage and everything already paid for, and all I had to do is print it out, put it on a box. I'll send in my old phone, and when they get the old phone, they're sending the new one. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go with that one. I don't like giving out my email information to anybody, or not my email, my credit card information to anybody if I don't have to. Which ended up actually being a good thing, because this operation was so poorly done, I would have gotten charged for that phone and probably never gotten reimbursed, or at least it would have taken forever to do that because of what happened next. So they send me the email with the thing, and I'm like, okay. So I print it out, I put it in, and I sent it off the next day. It was, I believe, a Tuesday when I sent it off, so pretty early in the week. It was overnight, so I got the confirmation the next day that it got to them. And then that's pretty much all I heard from them for a while. I was like, okay, he said it was going to take 4 or 5 days for them to ship it out to you, so I'm thinking next week around Tuesday or Wednesday it will probably come in. Tuesday and Wednesday goes by, nothing. And then that Thursday, I believe, was Thanksgiving. So I was like, okay, holidays, you know, a lot of mail being sent. I'll give them another few days, you know, and then of course Saturday and Sunday. So I'm like, okay, next Monday for sure, right? It's going to come in. No, it didn't come in. So I'm like, okay, starting to get a little concerned here, right? It's been about a week and a half now, and nothing. 2 weeks goes by, and still nothing. So I log on to the email they sent me, had a little tracking number and stuff for my account for Motorola if I had any problems, and they had a little link to go to their website and talk to a person on the computer because I already knew how horrible it was to talk to them on the phone. So I went on there and I entered all the information and told them everything that was going on, and they're like, okay, so now that I'm looking at your account, there is a problem. The problem is that your phone is not manufactured anymore. It's an old phone that it's only been out for about 4 months, but we don't make it anymore. Yeah, exactly. 4 months and you don't make it anymore. I understand technology is replaced like the day it comes out, but seriously, you don't even make it anymore? That means people who have that phone can't get replacement parts for it anymore unless they're already been made. I mean, you have a battery that you need to replace. Oh, tough luck. We don't make it anymore. Ridiculous. 4 months? I mean, I'm locked into a 2-year contract and I have a phone that is apparently so obsolete that it stopped being made the moment it came out. So I'm like, okay, so you guys weren't going to tell me? Been 2.5 weeks now and no email, no, oh, hey, there's a problem with your account. We should have told you the very first time you were on the phone that your phone is a piece of moussaka, and we're not going to be able to help you out. In fact, we're going to have to do something different. No, nothing like that. Or an email saying, we found a problem. We didn't realize it at the time, but we found a problem, and we need to get back in touch with you. You know, give us, you know, a shout back, and we'll work something out. No, nothing like that. Just he'll call us eventually, you know, when he gets tired of waiting, he'll call us. And I'm like, that is just unbelievable. And yeah, we will eventually call you, but we're going to be so angry that you let it get to that point. If you had just sent me an email, you know, even just the day before, just to let me know that, hey, yeah, you're actually monitoring what's going on and you're not just completely clueless, and leave your customers out in the open, in the wide, you know, just standing there basically with their hand, you know, I'm not going to say it, but you understand what I'm saying on that one. So, fine, I was like, okay, what do we need to do to fix this, right? You don't make, I don't know why that went blurry there for a second. Hopefully that will fix itself. So yeah, you don't make this this phone anymore. So what are we going to do? Well, I can't help you on here. What he wants me to do is call back in. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go, autofocus. So he's like, I have to call back in to the white glove department or something stupid like that he phrased. And I'm like, seriously? I got to call back in. Well, it's 11 o'clock at night when I'm talking to him because I just got off of work. So I'm like, I'll have to wait till tomorrow to call. And so I do that. I ridiculous that I have to do this same number that I had before, the very first same number, go through the whole thing of what department you want to talk to, finally get back to him, give him all the information yet again, because, you know, it's not on file apparently, until they get everything from you, and then they're like, oh, here it is. Yeah, are you just double checking to make sure I am who I am? Because if that's the case, you only needed like 2 or 3 key details. You didn't need everything. You didn't need me to spell out my name and my email address and you know, everything else that they include. So yeah, you're wasting my time yet again, but you're so nice about it. Yeah, yeah. Am I helping you out? Am I helping you? Yes, you're doing your job. Now shut up. Please, just do something. I'm tired of waiting. A month has gone by now, basically, that I've been without a phone because of these stupid procedures that Motorola has in place. That they really are trying to save money by outsourcing and doing all these things, all these different departments and stuff like that. And yeah, you're saving money. You're putting money into your pocket, and you're taking time and money out of my pocket to do it. But you don't care about that. I know you don't. You're a big company. I'm the little guy, and you couldn't care less. But hopefully other people who are watching this video will see exactly how bad Motorola is and go with somebody else, anybody else. I don't care if you go with dirt. It would be better than going with Motorola. So finally, I get in, and I'm talking to somebody. They transfer me to 3 or 4 different departments before this happens. And everything's going fine. I'm talking to these people. They're kind of hard to understand, but it's okay. They transfer me to the last department, and something's wrong with his line. I can't hear a word. I mean, it's like a whisper in my ear. I can't hear it. Just the phone that I had is very loud. I mean, most people, when I turn it to like 1 or 2 on the volume, are shouting out of my phone that I have to hold it away from my ear. I had him up to 10, and I could still barely hear what he was saying. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, I can't understand. I can't hear you. All the other guys were fine, so if you could please transfer me to somebody else who either has a better mic or a better connection, whatever the issue is. Clearly it's on your side because it was working with the other people just fine, and it's worked with everybody else that I call family and friends. I could kind of make out him kind of talking loudly, almost to the point where he was screaming, not in a bad way, but he was trying to get me to hear. And I'm like, just transfer me to somebody else. I need to talk to somebody to get this done with. And I kind of got the gist that he was the final person. There was nobody above him that he could transfer me to. And that the problem was that they didn't make my phone anymore, but they did have a different phone in stock that they could get me. A white one, I can't remember the name of it at the moment, and I'll list all the details down below for the phone I had and the phone I got. But in the end, it didn't really matter because there was only one choice. And it's not really a choice. Do you want Apple or, go jump out a window? And that's not even an option. It's just, do you want an Apple? So yeah, those are my choices. Do I want a peach? Yeah, what's my other option? There is none. So yeah, I guess I'll take a peach. I mean, it's not like I have the option to get my money back, because if that was, I would have gotten it back. I would not have a stupid, crappy Motorola. Yeah, sucky. Trust me. So finally, he was like, oh, we'll send it out, and I got an email like 3 days later confirming that they're going to send me the order. 3 days it took them to send an order through for somebody that they had already kept online waiting for close to a month. Yeah, they're on the ball on that one. Perfect. So they ship it out, and it gets to me. When I shipped my cell phone in, they told me to put the wires, the plugs, everything. I sent it back in the original box with the instructions and everything. Everything went with it, including, unfortunately, my SD card, which I forgot to take out. But when I got the new phone in, it came in a crappy little bubble-wrapped envelope, not even a hard box or anything. Could have been sat on and crushed, I'm sure those things work quite well with the bubble wrap, but seriously, I mean, you're going to send a cell phone? But I can understand why they didn't, put a box into it, because it really wasn't worth a box. My original phone was worth $300. The new phone I got in, I looked online, worth $120. Brand new. This one wasn't brand new. Didn't come with plugs, didn't come with an instruction booklet. Just the phone. That's it. No extra SD card. By the way, we found your SD card. We were doing a good job. We did our job, and we found it. We threw it in there just to make sure that you had not only an enjoyable experience, but an awesome experience. No, they didn't do that. And I could call back, I'm sure, and say, hey, you guys still have my SD card. Could I possibly get it back? I'm not going to do that. SD cards are like 20 bucks for a decent one, and 20 bucks to me is far better to spend than ever having to deal with that company ever again. Ever again. So if their goal was to make sure that I never wanted to call their customer service or help desk again, it succeeded. If their goal was for me never to deal with Motorola ever again, it succeeded. If their goal was for me to hate and despise Motorola as a company, then they definitely succeeded. and if their goal was to make sure that I never bought another one of their products ever again, then they definitely, far above and beyond, exceeded all expectations on that. And I hope you guys watching never have an experience like this, but if you do, please post, because from now on, before I buy any product, I'm definitely going to do some research to make sure that they're not a company like this. From now on, Motorola is my target point when comparing to whether the standards of a company is good or bad. Motorola's on the bottom. There's nobody lower than Motorola that I've ever done or dealt with as far as companies go. So please, guys, if you like these videos, I would say hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely leave comments down below if you have had issues like this with Motorola or with any other company. I definitely want to hear about those things as well. And unfortunately, I know this is a somewhat unhappy video, but there it is. That's what you get when dealing with Motorola or Sprint. Sprint, again, will be another video altogether about the issues I've had with them. And I hate to complain because, things happen. Companies are not always on the spot. They make mistakes just like anybody else. But when the mistakes happen again and again and again, it's not a mistake. It's just the way they run things. So, till later. Bye.